Hey glossettes, welcome back. How are you guys doing today? Tell me down below as usual. So it's day 11 of Glossmas, and in today's video I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the Bloxburg Elephant 2024 in my yearly elephant guide video, including all of the little questions you guys have been commenting over the past few days since the elephant has started. And what I'm going to do is actually tell you what every single section of this video will be covering, as well as putting the timestamp for each section in the progress bar along the bottom of the video so you can skip ahead to anything you may be wondering about. But the topics we'll be covering today are: what is the elephant, how to take part in the elephant and who is the elder elf, what is the elephant board, what times do the elves spawn every day, how to find the elves plus how to hear and see them when they're close by, why aren't the elves appearing for me, can I do all of the elves at once, what do the red elves mean, what food do the elves need and how to make food in Bloxburg, why won't the elves take the food, how much money should I get from the elves and why am I getting less money than other people, how do you get the trophies and what do the different trophies mean, and finally, how long is the elephant in game. So yeah, if you're specifically looking for an answer to a question, then feel free to skip ahead to that, but if you just want to know about everything in the elephant, then of course just keep watching from here. But before we start, we need to see who is behind door number 11 on the Glossmas advent calendar, as well as who's behind door number 9 and 10, because unfortunately I have missed 2 days of Glossmas. As usual, there's a timestamp on screen now as well as along the progress bar if you want to skip to where the video actually begins. But let's zoom in here and start with door number 9 and see who's behind this one. And behind this door, we have Cookie. Now, Cookie is one of the active members of my community, and she made me this super cool edit that I'll put on screen now, which I thought was really cute, and she also helped me out so much with my movie back in October, so I really just wanted to say thank you to that as well, because Cookie is just super cool. She's so lovely, so I just wanted to say thank you so much, and welcome to the Glossmas advent calendar, Cookie. Then next up, we have door number 10, so let's see who's behind this one. And today we have Archer Likes Roblox. Now Archer actually drew this super cool drawing of my Christmas avatar with my kind of little Santa hat on, and it's so adorable. I love it so much. The hat looks super cool, and I love how he's done kind of like my heart glasses and my super happy face. It's so cute. So once again, thank you so much Archer, and welcome to the Glossmas advent calendar as well. And then finally we have door number 11, so let's see who's behind this one. And we have Joe87654. Now Joe has commented on like every single Glossmas video congratulating everyone else who's gotten into the calendar, and I think it's just so sweet of them to do on every single video. So now we can turn the tables and we can all congratulate Joe in the comments instead. So thank you so much Joe for being so sweet to everyone else, and welcome to the Glossmas advent calendar for you as well. But anyways, let's get into the elephant guide, starting with what is the elephant. Now if you've been living under a rock, then the elephant is a 16-day long Bloxburg event that happens every Christmas and usually starts on the 9th or the 10th of December and ends on Christmas Eve. However, this year it actually started a day earlier than usual on the 8th of December, so I'm guessing we'll maybe get the last elf on the 23rd instead, I don't know. But every day an elf, which looks like this, will spawn in a random location around the Bloxburg map, and players have to find this elf, feed it a mystery food item, and then it'll give you a money or a ticket reward up until the very last elf on the very last day of the event, where if you've found all the elves, you will get Bloxburgs and one of 3 different trophies. The type of trophy you get also depends on when you got the elves, but we will talk about that a bit more in depth later. It's a super fun event that brings the community together, and it also gives you prizes, which is always great, and I personally love it. I make videos on the elves every single day. It's my favorite content to make, and I wait for this all year. But this leads us on to our next question, which is how to take part in the elf hunt and who is the elder elf. Now to take part in the elf hunt, you actually have to first complete a quest for the elder elf, otherwise you can't take part and the elves won't spawn for you. To do this, you can find the elder elf at the Santa photo area outside the town hall, and he's sat there with this giant glowing exclamation mark above his head, so you can't really miss him. And what you need to do is you need to click on him and talk to him, where he will ask you for a treat. And to get this treat, what you actually need is a cookie. And to get this cookie, you can go to your fridge and go to the take ingredients tab, take some cookies, and then take a single one off a plate, and then you bring this back to the elder elf and give it to him, and that is when the elephant will begin for you. However, when you're in this area, you may notice this board over here. So what is the elephant board? This board actually helps you keep track of all the elves you found, and if you found them on the day they spawned or not. And this is important because you have to find each elf in order, otherwise the next one won't spawn. So once you find the elves, a tick will appear in the box next to it, and then another tick will appear in the second box if you got that elf on the same day it was added to the game, because of course we get an elf every single day. Also, in terms of keeping track of the elves, if you look back at the Santa area, you will actually see the kind of ghost outline of all the elves. And what happens is, once you find find that elf, it will kind of go to that location. So as you can see, some of them are already sat here because these are ones I've already found from day 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, you can also keep track of them here, which is super cute. But going back to the board, you can also get a hint to the location of the previous elf from the previous day right here, which will give you almost like a riddle. But next up, something I get asked a lot is what time do the elves actually spawn every day? Now, first of all, the elves spawn at the same time for everyone, no matter where you live, no matter what your country is. However, the actual time this is will obviously depend on your time zone as well. So for example, if the elf spawned at 9 p.m. UK time, that would be 10 p.m. in Spain, for example, as Spain is an hour ahead. However, it's still at like the same time for everyone, if that makes sense. You also need to take into consideration that the elves get later and later by a few minutes each day. So right now, this year, the first elf happened at 9 p.m. UK time, the second elf happened at 9:06 p.m. UK time, and the third elf was at 9:12 p.m. UK time. So every day it will continue getting later and later by a few minutes. I'll probably say in between the 9 p.m. and the 11 p.m. UK time range, it'll just get later every night. So the last few elves might be kind of closer to 11 p.m. And for example, when I'm filming this video, this is day 4 of the elf hunt, and we expect this elf to move at maybe kind of 9:20 p.m. UK time. So once again, a few minutes later from last night. What I recommend doing is just making sure you're online around this time every night, but yeah, it will get later and later. Also, you can tell the elf has moved and the new one has spawned because the previous elf will disappear. So it's also helpful around this time to just wait next to the current elf as it'll disappear, and then you'll know the next one is around the map to find. But yeah, it's kind of complicated to try and explain time zones. Once the elf has spawned somewhere else, of course, now you have the challenge of figuring out where the elf went. Leading me on to my next question, how to find the elves plus how to hear and see when they're close by. And the simple answer to this is to 1, either look for them, or 2, subscribe to my YouTube channel for daily elf hunt location videos. Okay, but seriously, the elves spawn in completely random locations across the Bloxburg map. So they could genuinely be anywhere. They're always in the most random of places. All you need to do to find them is pretty much go around the map and try and find them. And the easiest way to do this is to have a fast vehicle like a motorbike or a car or something to drive around as quickly as possible and kind of cover more ground. But also the biggest tip in how to kind of hear and see when they're close by is you need to turn your volume up, as the elves will actually play this sound effect when they're close by you. However, one tricky thing about the elves is they only appear where you are quite close to them. Like this clip here, you can kind of see when I go far away, it will disappear. But when you get closer, that is when it kind of appears. So you need to make sure you drive all over the map as much as possible, because an elf could be like a few meters in front of you and you just can't see it yet, as it won't appear until you're closer. If you don't want to find the locations of the elves all by yourself and you just want to be told where to find each one, then like I said, do subscribe, as I film videos on the elf locations every single day as quickly as physically possible. I'm always one of, if not the first person to post the locations, so yeah, I can help you out with that. But they are super fun to find, and all you need to do is just look around the map as best you can and listen out for the sound effect they play. However, sometimes even if you know where the elf is from maybe watching a tutorial, maybe it's not spawning for you. I get a lot of people commenting that even though they are in the right place, they still can't see where the elf is and it's not spawning. So next I'm going to be answering, why aren't the elves appearing for me? Now, the elves might not be appearing for you for one main reason, and this is the reason that I explain to pretty much everyone, and it always seems to be the case, and that reason is you haven't started the elf hunt or done the previous elves properly yet. Like I said at the start of the video, to take part in the elf hunt, you must speak to the elder elf and complete his quest first, otherwise no elves will spawn and you can't take part in the elf hunt. After you've done this though, you need to make sure you've also done all of the elves in order. For example, you can't find elf number 6 as it won't spawn until you found elf number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Like the elves will not spawn until you found all of the elves before it, and you must do this in order as well. And of course, you can use the elf board at the town hall to kind of double check to make sure you know which ones you found and which ones you haven't, so you can kind of see where you're up to, which is super helpful. Also, if you think you found elf number 1 and 2 and then 3 won't spawn for you, just go back to the previous elf, elf number 2, and check that it has its food in its hand, because I did have a server member of mine give elf number 2 its cookie yesterday, but then the next day they couldn't find elf number 3, and it was because I'm guessing she may have disconnected whilst doing elf number 2, so it actually didn't save on the server. And when she went back to elf number 2 and checked, it no longer had the cookie in its hand, so she had to do it again. So yeah, just make sure if you're trying to find an elf in a location and you can't, make sure you've done all of the previous elves and also have went back to the previous elf and just checked that it's 100% went through and that the elf is holding the food. And if this is the first elf you're doing, then of course make sure you've actually done the elder elf quest first and all of the previous elves too. Next up, we have, can I do all of the elves at once? And the answer to this is yes and no, I guess. So of course one elf spawns every day up until Christmas Eve, Eve, or in this case this year maybe the 23rd. So because one of these elves comes every single day, it wouldn't be possible to do them all at once yet until all of them had been added. But yes, you can do them all at once if you waited until the end of the elf hunt where all of the elves had already been added to the game, and you could do them all together at that point. And this also means of course that you can catch up on the elves, so if you haven't started the elf hunt yet, you can go back and do all of the elves so far at once. So because we're on day 4 right now when I'm filming this, you could do elves 1, 2, and 3 in a row and not have to wait a day in between. They should just spawn immediately after you've done each one, so you can kind of find them together. But yeah, once you've done that, you'd obviously then have to wait for the rest of the elves to be slowly added each day. And if you obviously don't want to do one every single day, like I said, you could wait until all 16 elves were in the game and just do it all at once after, and I will be doing a video showing every location but all in the same video on the last day of the elf hunt as well to make this easier. Anyways, next up, once you've actually found an elf, you may notice that some of them look a little different. Most of them are yellow, but some of them are red. So what do these red elves mean? Now the red elves, also known as angry elves, were added to the elf hunt for the first time last year, and these elves are pretty much the same as normal ones. However, of course, we need to feed the elves a mystery food item every day, and if you give these angry elves the wrong food item, they actually prank you. So last year they did stuff like turning you into Christmas ornaments or babies or giving you signs or drawing on your face. So they like to punish you for giving them the wrong food, and we actually haven't encountered a red elf this year so far. But yeah, they do like to make it a little bit harder to figure out the correct food, but it is super cute to be pranked by them. So just be warned, if you do see these angry elves, they are little pranksters, and who knows what they'll get up to this year. Now once you've found an elf, no matter if it's a normal one or a particularly angry one, the final step of course is to feed it the mystery food. So what food do the elves need, and how do we make the food in Bloxburg? Now like I keep saying, it is a mystery food each time, so we don't actually know what food the elves want, and we pretty much have to guess until we get it right. But the most common food is normally the holiday cookie or the normal cookies, and just as a note, it is the same food for everyone as well. Now apart from the cookies, it's usually at least a Christmas food or something kind of Christmassy, but it can be anything, and we've even seen one of the elves need a present before and not even a food item. It gets harder and harder each time to guess what the elf wants, but yeah, for the most part it is usually Christmas food or a food relating to the location the elf's in. So for example, last year the one near the beach needed water, but we just need to keep guessing and trying stuff until the elf finally accepts it. Also, if you don't know how to make food in Bloxburg, then all you need to do is click on a fridge where you can either go into take ingredients and cook a big portion of food, or you can get smaller snack items from the quick meals tab, and there's also a bunch of food you can get from around the map as well. But what if the elves don't take the food? Now the biggest reason this might happen is of course you probably have the wrong food item. If you hear the elves say no, then it is just the fact that you have the wrong item and it doesn't want that one. But also, if you can't click on the elf to give him the food in the first place, it's probably because the elf is at an awkward angle and is close to an object, meaning you can't actually click on him properly. For example, elf number 3 this year was really difficult to give the food item to, as it was sat on a wreath item near the ice skate rink. But if you're on a PC or laptop, you can just easily avoid this problem by clicking the E key, so that you don't actually have to click the elf and it'll automatically interact with it. However, on mobile or iPad, obviously you don't have a keyboard and it is a bit trickier, so you just have to kind of try and keep clicking the elf from different angles until it works. Now once you've successfully given the elf the food at once, then you will finally get a reward from this elf. But how much money will you get from the elves? Plus, why are some of you getting less money than others? Now this year, with the new addition of seasonal tickets to the game, we actually now get a mix of Bloxburg money and tickets as the elf hunt rewards, and so far the elves have either been giving us 2,000 money or 250 tickets. So elves number 1 and 3 gave us 2,000 money, and then elf number 2 was 250 tickets. But some of you may have noticed that you might have gotten less than 2,000 money from the elves, and instead you've gotten 1,000 or maybe less tickets on the ticket elf too. And this is because if you don't do that elf on the same day it came out within 24 hours, you will actually get less of a reward for it. But yeah, if you do the elves on time on the same day they're originally added to the game, like the 10th of December for elf number 3 for example, you will get the most amount of rewards from that elf. And then of course at the end of the elf hunt, when we've done all of the elves, you will get some Bloxbugs and a trophy. And once again, the Bloxbugs amounts you get actually depends on if you did all the elves on time as well. However, there is actually also different trophy rewards too. So now let's talk about how do you get the trophies and what do the different trophies mean. So on the last elf of the elf hunt on the last day, like I said, you'll get a trophy. So of course it means to get that trophy, you need to find all 16 elves. There's 3 different types of elf hunt trophies, the platinum being the best, gold being second best, and silver being the worst. And you get the platinum trophy if you've done every single elf on the same day it was added to the game on time. But if you get one or more of the elves late, you get the gold trophy instead. And then I think to get the silver one, you have to do all of the elves late. So it is a good idea to get all of the the elves on time, as it does mean you get the best trophy, so I do advise trying to stay up to date with it and finding one elf every single day on the day it comes out. But finally, the last section of this video is how long is the elf hunt in game? If you're one of the people who wants to wait until the end of the elf hunt when all the elves are already added into the game to do them so you can sit and do them all at once, then you may be wondering how long the elf hunt is actually in game to do this. And I'm 99% sure it's in game until the Christmas update leaves, so you should be able to catch up on the elves until then. However, I cannot confirm this. Personally, I try and get it done before Christmas Day or before the 26th of December just in case, but the last elf should be in game on the 23rd of December, so it should be in game a day earlier than we usually see the last elf, because of course the elf hunt came a day earlier than usual this year. And that is pretty much everything you need to know about the elf hunt, but as usual, if I have missed anything out, please let me know, and I will leave it on the pinned comment for you guys to kind of answer anything. Don't know if you can tell by this voiceover, but I'm extremely tired when I was writing this script, so I don't know if any of this makes proper sense. But yeah, anything I've missed out, I will answer on the pinned comment for you, and of course, make sure you subscribe for the daily elf hunt videos I do. We are getting so close to 100k, so I would really appreciate it if you joined our community. But I hope this was helpful, and as usual, all my channel members and nitro boosters will be on screen now. Thank you so much for joining the channel and boosting the Discord server. I love you all, and I love you all so much, glossettes. Have a very merry Glossmas, and thank you so much for watching. XOXO, Glossy Girl.